89% of you, our GCN audience, drink at least 1 cup of coffee every single week. And I think that's quite a low percentage because of this small sample size right here, 100% of people drink at least 1 cup of coffee every single day.
Yeah, that's true. And no matter which data set you choose though, coffee is clearly a big thing for cyclists. And that's kind of the reason why we're so excited to be able to start selling our own GCN coffee, which is roasted in this building right behind us. Now, there is a slight problem with that GCN coffee, and that is that the first batch is running out. It's because it's a single origin coffee, which means there is a finite amount of beans from that particular farm. So we've come up to choose some more.
We have. And whilst we're here, we're also going to get some practical tips for all of us here on how to make the perfect cup of coffee every single time.
Yes.
Go on in. Maxwell Colonna Dashwood got passionate about coffee over a decade ago. A passion which eventually drove he and his wife Leslie to open up Colonna & Small's coffee shop a stone's throw from our offices in Bath. It's fair to say that Maxwell has become somewhat of an expert in the world of coffee, so we asked him if he could teach us how to make the perfect brew.
I can, but I think the best place to start is to taste coffee.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've done it before, but shall we do a cupping?
I did do that last time when we chose the coffee, but that was the first time I've been cupping.
It does sound good though, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it is the industry standard for tasting coffee. We can taste lots of coffees side by side, and people often surprise themselves with what they pick and what they don't like. So what we have here are 8 different coffees from different places in the world. Coffee's very seasonal, so we're tasting coffees like this all the time. We're both testing if we think our own coffee is tasting how it should, so quality control. The idea is you need at least a couple of cups of coffee in case 1 cup, there's something wrong with it, effectively.
Are we consuming all of these? I'm going to be wired.
Well, it's up to you whether you spit or swallow.
Okay. Well, I'll decide as I go.
Now, this is a very coarse grind. The idea is this whole process is going to take us like 20 minutes.
Okay.
So we're going to smell them when they're extracting with water, and then we're going to do something which we call breaking the crust. 4 minutes, we're going to break through the crust that's on top. Okay. Then we're going to wait another 6 minutes to the 10-minute point where we go and have our first slurp. So a lot like wine, the idea is by slurping the coffee off of the spoon, we aerate it and we can taste more aroma. You don't have to slurp, but you'll often hear at professional cupping these really high-pitched slurps, and it's often like a badge of honour.
This is what we can expect from Maxwell, is a high-pitched slurp as a professional.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about trying to learn more about what you do like by understanding how to taste.
Wow, the geisha definitely smells really different.
Yeah, it does, right? There's 2 things about that are different. So the geisha is extremely aromatic. This is what we call a natural coffee, so they leave the cherries on to dry in the sun.
Right.
And you get those like more tropical, fermented. You get any fermenty kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't know how to describe it to you, but
yeah,
that one smells like a kind of,
coffee.
If you're a good sort of wine taster, does that make you a good coffee? Is there sort of a crossover between?
Maybe. It means you're used to tasting things and trying to think about them, and being and really if you've never tried to vocalize it before, like you'll get people who are good, they can pick up the differences, but they just don't know what words to use. Yeah. So people who are into wine are often used to that. The problem is it's all about a flavor library. So there's been some research on this. If you really know about cheese or you really know about wine, a lot of being good at it is you spent years learning, what a Sudan roommate tastes like. Yeah, I was talking before about the Q grader, which is our qualification in coffee. It was quite famous that a couple of wine experts went on it without knowing anything about coffee to say, look, we're great tasters, and they failed. Because it's as much, you need
I can't imagine how smug you all were in the coffee room.
See, you thought you'd come in here into our world. And we're going to start this side because these are the ones we put the water on first. Okay. Yeah, so essentially you're going to come down and you're going to smell whilst you stir to the bottom 3 times.
Well, that doesn't smell like what I would expect coffee to smell like.
No, how would you describe it? So
I'm going to need another go.
Go on. So I would describe this as smelling quite floral.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the second coffee, the Kenyan, I would describe as much more fruity smelling.
Yes, I would agree with that.
You gotta get involved, Dan.
We've gone back to floral there, right?
Correct. Yeah, you're good at this.
Well done.
You are good at this.
I'll take that.
That's Ethiopian.
Yeah, I'm going to stick my nose out here. Can I describe this one as nutty?
Absolutely, yeah, that's from Peru.
Yeah?
You're flying. Yeah, Peru's known for those sort of smooth, nutty flavour profiles.
And this one doesn't smell smell like it did smell when it was ground. You see what I mean?
Exactly right.
Tea,
So-
one you thought was tea.
That's right. Yeah.
What does it smell like now, Si? Coffee.
It's pretty fair to say if you're getting more of these heavy compounds, it's probably a slightly darker roast.
Yeah.
You're going to take a small amount of coffee on the spoon. I slurp it through my teeth to aerate it, right? Then it sprays in my mouth. That's how I get more aroma. Yeah. I told you. So then rinse the spoon off between, and then work your way along, right? I'm gonna drink because I haven't had that much coffee. So I would just do one flight across, get a taste for it, get your palate acclimatized, and then come back and start thinking about the differences. You okay?
I am. I wasn't expecting that.
I thought it'd be much less.
Much
more subtle intake.
That sounds like a jet engine.
Time to give it a go ourselves. Less jet engine and more slurp.
Right. Okay.
Dan wins, I think.
They spit it out this time.
Yeah, I'm gonna hit my limit in a bit. I'm just figuring out which one's the best. That's good.
The way that we timed that made it sound like I did.
Like you did the
proper
slurp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that one in.
Is that the Peruvian one?
What do you think of the Sudan Rume? I always describe this as tasting a bit like a curry. But I mean sort of like a Thai curry. So like coriander.
I reckon that's my favourite so far.
Yeah.
Then the Sudan Rume.
Sudan Rume, okay.
It was clear that Si's palate was far more refined and sophisticated than mine, but we still hadn't found out what, apart from the bean, goes into making the perfect coffee. And it turns out that this explanation required the use of a pie chart. Maxwell explained that the perfect coffee will be different from one person to the next, but there are 4 key areas that you need to consider in the process. The biggest part, 50%, is of course that coffee bean itself, the green coffee or origin. You can't make a good coffee from a bad bean. The next key part is the roasting process, which is in essence the cooking process that brings out the flavour of the bean.
So the roaster is often in this sort of, it's a kind of mysterious bit of black magic. Like there's basic light and dark, so light brown to black. But that in the middle there, you've got all these roasters around the world saying, okay, well, I do a slightly longer roast, or I do a slightly shorter one, or I use more heat at the beginning, or more airflow. That's the world of roasting, right? And that's why you might prefer a coffee roasted by us to another roaster, or you might not. It'll be our style of roasting.
Okay.
But this has a big, big impact.
We'll get to see that roasting process firsthand shortly. Interestingly though, the brewing segment of the pie chart is smaller than you'd imagine. This is, of course, how you choose to make your coffee.
And of course, most people have never visited a coffee farm. So, a customer in the UK or America, is very aware of this because it's what they do.
Yeah.
Right? And most people's water in their house is the same, right?
Yeah.
So they don't get to see this one very often. They buy from their favourite. So really, most people are playing with this one and this one. Whose coffee did I buy?
Yeah.
And how did I make it? The interesting thing about brewing, though, is there's only so much you can do. So what I've seen over the years as I was involved in barista competitions and I did courses, is people went away thinking that they just needed to figure out the way to get it to taste the way they wanted, when actually the coffee they'd bought was never going to taste fruity, for example, because they bought a Brazilian coffee, which is nutty. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But the key with brewing is just understanding how different devices work. I'm confident you can make good coffee on almost any brewing device. It's just about understanding the device.
Conversely, there's one part of the pie chart that some of us wouldn't even think about at all. The water used to make your coffee is crucial to its taste.
It makes sense, right, when you think about it. If you're like, a typical filter coffee is 99% water and 1% coffee, right? Yeah. So it's actually, coffee's much more dilute than you think, but coffee's a really strong, potent ingredient, right? Then espresso is probably 10% coffee to the rest water. So you've got 90 to 99% water. So we roast coffee and we ship it to all around the world. But I'll go and taste my coffee in someone else's shop and I'm like, this doesn't taste at all like it does at our roastery. And so everybody knew water was important, but I did a lot of research with a chemist at Bath University, looking at exactly what minerals in the water affect the flavour, right? And basically, there's a couple key things. You do need some minerals, calcium and magnesium. They help you pull flavour out. But the problem in hard water areas, like where we are in the southwest, is that hardness, there's something called bicarbonate in the water, and it just wipes out all the acidity, right? So if you were to have a cup of coffee in my shop, and you got some baking soda, and you dropped the tiniest pinch in, it would just wipe the coffee out.
No way.
Yeah. And so, for example, you can have the best green coffee roasted perfectly, and then you use really hard water, and you lose most of it. And that's what happens in coffee shops. People buy the best equipment, they go on the barista courses, but because this one isn't being accounted for, and they think it's them, they're like, oh, maybe I'm just not a very good barista, and it's not, it's the water.
Right.
The go-to options right now are bottled water. The thing is, a bottled water like Evian, for example, is the very minerals you pay for that make it taste full and rounded wipe out the coffee.
Right.
So it's the key thing about water that people got wrong for a long time is they thought the water they like the taste of would make a good coffee. So your favourite drinking water isn't necessarily going to make you the best cup of coffee.
Right.
Within their premises here in Bristol, Colonnas do their own roasting of the green origin beans, and once again, there's a lot more that goes into that than you might think.
We have got Beth to talk us through the roasting process. So we've already seen the beans sucked up in this machine, up to that container there at the top. We've got a couple of screens here with some quite detailed information about temperature, etc. So what are we looking at and what is the process?
So obviously this is the roasting machine, and I'm basically in control of the gas fuel and the airflow through the roaster. So my job is basically, when the roaster's going on, to balance the gas input and the airflow to really make sure that the bean comes out at a designated time, designated temperature, and to get real continuity every time that I do that. Every bean is totally different, so different origins, different processes, different varietals. Everything means that each roast is going to be totally different. So you can get some continuity between the same roast of the same coffee. So for example, this is a Peruvian coffee. It's really super sweet, got a little bit of acidity up front, so I decided to go for a relatively mellow profile, nothing pushing it too hard, just to keep all those like mild notes in there. Each coffee that we get in, I kind of decide what elements of the bean I want to highlight. So has it got a really good acidity, or is it really super sweet? And then that dictates like how much gas and air I use throughout the roast.
I had no idea how much of a personal process it was. So in the same way that Maxwell has won a barista competition in the past, Beth's won a roasting competition last year, should I say, and you've got another one coming up soon.
Yeah, this week, so fingers crossed. Yeah. This part of the roast is all about the bean slowly coming up to the temperature of the machine. So you can't really do anything, you just hope that the energy that you've got in there will give you a nice, smooth start. So this line behind is what I'm aiming for, and then my new blue line is the temperature inside the drum. So now throughout the roast, I'm probably going to be decreasing the gas and increasing the airflow. So as we progress through the roast, we have some variation away from the line, so from the curve that we're trying to hit. So I've just been making adjustments over here, trying to get it back on track as much as possible.
Well, we'll see how close you get.
Yeah, I know, no pressure. Roasting on camera, the worst.
Yeah.
So we'll let them go around for about 30 seconds, and then we actually found that they cool a lot quicker if you just stop it. So then I'll stop.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you hit your numbers?
I did, actually.
Nice one.
There was never a doubt in my mind.
So with the tasting and the roasting covered off, what about making the perfect brew?
So a cafetiere, there's no paper, you get more sediment, bigger body.
Yep.
Then you have something like a pour over, like a V60, have you heard of those?
Yes, that's what I got.
That's what you got?
That's my method of choice at the moment.
Full paper, so you get none of that sediment.
No.
The only thing is, paper does have a taste. And if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, people start to have that, I prefer the taste of that paper. But what I like about the AeroPress is not a lot of paper.
Okay.
And it's super versatile. Do you have a preference? Do you like it strong or do you like it?
I like it strong generally. I wouldn't drink a full espresso, but
Okay.
well, it depends. Depends on the day, depends on the moment.
So it's got quite a coarse setting.
Yep.
We're going to bring it around to a much finer setting.
Okay.
The idea is just to cover all of some simple stuff really, cover all of the coffee with the water, so it's all dissolving. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rinse the filter, because that way we get rid of any paper taste.
Ah, okay. So if you were using a pour over, you'd do the same?
Same.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. And And then I close it down, the AeroPress, to get rid of any excess space. And then what we're going to do is just press it down for about 20 seconds. And obviously the finer you grind, the more pressure, yeah, exactly.
That is a good brew.
Can I try it?
You can indeed, yeah.
Yeah, really, really good. So I like all strengths coffee. For me, it's like espresso, I like filter. As long as the coffee's good and it's well extracted, then that's the goal.
Great stuff. Thank you very much. Some mega tips in there.
My pleasure. Thanks for coming to visit us.
Cool. Well, I mean, obviously, Dan and I, we don't just want to kind of leave having, taken all your information and then get...
That wouldn't be fair.
No, is there anything that we can do, like to help out?
There is actually. If I take you out onto the production floor, we're a little short-staffed.
Yes, brilliant.
I'd love a hand.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come on, let's do it. So what would you like to do, Maxwell? Like roast it or do some tasting or anything like that?
Well, I don't think we're quite there yet. I mean, what I'd really be very helpful to us if you could label all these bags for us. Think you could do that? Is that?
Label the bags?
Yeah, exactly. So the idea is that you get it symmetrically in the middle with the red label on the front.
Yeah.
And then we've got the information label on the back. Probably a couple of 100 bags to do.
To be fair, that probably does sound like something that we might be able to do, doesn't it? Yeah, happy days. Thanks.
Great. Oh, it's been great. When you're finished, if you let yourselves out.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is closing up, so.
Yeah, all right. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
No problem.
Do you want to do the red ones or the white ones?
I'll do the white ones. That's pretty good
Thanks, mate.
for your first go.
I feel like we should probably do a poor job just so that the viewers know that it's us that's done it.
It's the special
I've got one
package that Si and I did.
Yeah.
Anyway, we hope you've learned as much today about how to make the perfect brew as we have. I've certainly learned a hell of a lot. As you can well gathered over the video, it is Colonna's here who make our specialist coffee that you will find in the GCN shop, hence why it is so good. And if you would like to personally taste just how good it is, we've put a link straight to the coffee section of our shop in the description just down below.
Yeah, and if you do buy some, make sure you let us know what you think. Everyone, of course, has their own personal coffee preferences, but we're pretty confident, aren't we, that this is an absolute belter.
Well, it's not had a bad rating yet on the shop, has it?
No, it hasn't.
Right.
Absolutely.
Talking of personal preferences when it comes to coffee, Lasty actually asked a few of the professional riders what coffee they have before a stage of a grand tour, and you can find that video just down here somewhere. I'm getting ahead of me.
Sorry, mate. 196 to go.